Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk Kashrus, presented by the Kashrus Awareness Project in conjunction with Torah Anytime. Today I am joined by Rabbi Akiva Niehaus, Director of Kashrus Operations at the CRC, the Chicago Rabbinical Council, and Rabbinic Coordinator of Liquor at the CRC. Thank you, Rabbi Niehaus, for joining us.
Thank you.
We've spoken about different liquor items and kashrus concerns and things of that sort. One topic that is actually relevant not only after Pesach, but really many months after, is the topic of buying whiskey and taking into account the concern of Chametz, alav, haPesach. I know that some of the largest bourbon manufacturers in the country are actually Jewish-owned. We actually did a conversation with Rabbi Shalom Fishbein some months back about the selling of whiskey and how complex that could be. So tell us from your experience as Rabbinic Coordinator of Liquor, this is something you live with, it's something you work on every day. What could you tell consumers to ensure that even months after Pesach, they have no concern of Chametz, alav, haPesach?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I would really break down this conversation into different parts. And that is, according to United States law, there's a 3-tier distribution system for alcohol. And that was really instituted because of the mafia, whatever. There's 3 tiers: manufacturer, distributor, and retailer. If any of those 3 are Jewish-owned and they don't sell their products for Pesach, then we have a serious problem. But we really have to break it down. Let's talk about the manufacturer. Let's say, for example, you have a bourbon manufacturer, which is Jewish-owned, and he doesn't sell his chametz for Pesach. As we know, bourbon is an aged product. It's aged for many years. If it goes through one Pesach,
right,
it's also forever.
I was going to say, even if he sells it for a Pesach or 2, but then
Correct.
neglects to do so for a different Pesach, you have a big problem.
100%. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, there are a lot of Jewish people in the liquor industry. Maybe it goes back to the times of the shtetl when they really couldn't do anything else other than liquor, the kretschmer, the inns where they had, but there are a lot, there are a lot of Yidden in this industry. In fact, 2 of the largest 5 bourbon manufacturers are Jewish-owned. That's huge. 2 of the 5. Now, like you mentioned, our Shalom Fishbein spoke about a different manufacturer that we work with in the CRC in order to sell their chametz, and they were only willing to do very limited sale of their products, and those have the CRC on it. Anything else made by this large manufacturer is Chametz, alav, Pesach without a doubt. Shockingly enough, I was in Lakewood today, and I visited a liquor store owned and operated by Haimish from Yidden. And I'm walking around, and I was shocked to see these products, which is definitely Chametz, alav, Pesach.
How do you know that's Chametz, alav, haPesach?
We happen to work with this company.
And know they don't sell their chametz.
They don't sell their chametz. And it was literally sitting on the shelf, Rahman al-Tzlan.
Wow. How would a store owner even know that?
So we actually we actually have put these on our CRC liquor list, available on our website, and we break it down clearly.
You put it on as not recommended.
Correct. And ACO put out a notice in 2010 about this issue. And these are the products which have this issue, and stay away from it. And in Haimish stores, from El Chiyid and Rahman al-Tzlan are drinking this product, which is Chametz, alav, haPesach.
Wow.
It's shocking.
Could I ask what happened when you brought it to the attention of the store owner?
The store was too busy. That's how busy it was.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't. But this is a conversation that needs to be had on multiple levels. Now, is there any solution for these companies? Like you mentioned, once it's made, sits over Pesach, it's also forever. But believe it or not, of those 2 of the largest manufacturers, not every sale is done correctly. Because even if they are going to sell, if they remain open for business on Pesach, is that good? Is that effective? Mm-hmm. If they simply do a sign like we do for the Cheerios at home, does that count for a multi-million-dollar company that's going to remain operating on Pesach?
I'll reference something that we spoke to Rabbi Fishbein about. If it's a bona fide sale, then there's a liquor tax, right?
Correct. The tax implications.
The tax implications.
Right.
To make it a real sale.
Correct.
So if you're not following that protocol, then does that reveal that maybe it was not a real mechira?
Correct. So
right.
I just take with caution. Even if you hear that a large bourbon manufacturer does a sale, maybe more questions should be asked about how it was done, and this could be a serious problem.
So this is a little overwhelming, honestly, for our viewers and our listeners. They're listening to this. They're saying, okay, Rabbi Niehaus is telling me that there is a significant number of whiskey products that may be a concern of Chametz haPesach. How in the world, when I go into a kosher store, which now you're telling me that even if I go into a kosher liquor store, I can't assume that what's on the shelf, unless the store has hashgacha.
Correct.
Which usually they don't. It's like a supermarket. Usually a supermarket does not have hashgacha on the store.
Well, our
Typically.
supermarkets that do have hashgacha, and for some reason it didn't exactly extend to the liquor department.
Okay.
But you're right. They
Right?
should.
Typically stores that sell closed products don't necessarily have hashgacha. Perhaps that should change. So is the only way that people could know what they can and can't buy just by looking up at the various Kashrus organizations recommended or not recommended liquor list? Is that the way to go?
So first of all, you could look for a bourbon with hashgacha.
Okay.
That you hopefully
And that hashgacha obviously
hopefully
is
took care of it.
took care of the
correctly.
Chametz haPesach issue.
Correct. If you're not, do some research. Look at CRC liquor list or other liquor lists out there, and look for these types of. Make sure that it's not there, and make sure that that's not on the list. But don't go blindly and just purchase an aged product, which could seriously over one Pesach. I got to tell you a story. Yeah. There was a large manufacturer in the Midwest that was Jewish owned, and every year sold his chametz. They forgot to sell it one year. That's it.
Like we referenced before.
That's right.
That's all it takes.
And the next year they said, "Hey, Rabbi, we forgot to do it." Okay, well, this will help you in about 5 years from now when your new aged
Right.
products go, and then you have to differentiate.
Mu'uvos lo yuchal liskoin.
Exactly.
Right? That's there's nothing to do about that.
Do that.
Wow. This is an important topic that we're discussing, and I'll stress again that this is not something only related right after Pesach. This
Correct.
is something that people should be vigilant about throughout the year. If you're going into a liquor store, make sure that whatever type of whiskey, whether it's a bourbon, a scotch, Irish, it really doesn't matter.
Correct.
Whatever you're buying, to make sure that tequila, sake.
Well, no. So tequila is not a chametz grain.
Oh, because it's not a chametz product.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, actually, you bring up a good point because many people respond to this. Say that bourbon is 51% corn. So corn is not chametz. It might be kidneys, but it's not chametz. But that other 49% can and surely is, at least to some degree, grains which do become chametz, and that gives all the flavor. Corn whiskey is really not good. So the other 49% is seriously contributing the flavor, and that's what makes it a
would
problem.
be a concern.
Correct.
So you mentioned manufacturers as regards to chametz alav haPesach and selling chametz and so on and so forth. You mentioned two other levels. There's the distributor and there's the retailer. Talk about that.
Correct. So on a manufacturing level, there's a big problem that they're Jewish owned. They don't sell the chametz. Once it goes through Pesach, it's also forever. On a distribution level, they don't really carry the stock that much. So there are plenty
It's like kind of passing through, right?
Exactly. They do keep some stock just to supply to their customers. But there are many distributors who are Jewish owned. And if they have it over Pesach, that will be usher. But as soon as they get new stock, that replaces it. So I would say is if there is a Jewish distributor, so that problem would be somewhat limited. Only a few weeks, a few months after Pesach, but after that they're getting a new stock, and if the manufacturer is not Jewish owned. But
I remember a couple of years ago there was a very well publicized story involving Manhattan beer.
Correct.
People were talking about it. What happened over there?
Yeah, that's a fascinating story. This Rabbi Kalman Weinfeld did a tremendous taiva for Kleisel. This Jewish-owned beer distributor.
Are they the biggest beer distributor in the United States?
At least in the East Coast, in that region.
Okay.
And they were Jewish-owned and didn't sell their chametz. So that would be a problem for that time after Pesach if they had it. And he worked tremendously to get them to sell Kedaso Kedin, and he took care of the problem.
Right, I remember seeing pictures of
Correct,
it. It was inspiring to see that how really what a difference someone can make.
Correct.
Besides that, the Yidden who owned this beer distribution company were able to follow halacha, but also enable people in the Northeast, on the East Coast, to be able to buy the beer without having to worry about that. So that's interesting. Are there any other concerns or details regarding distribution and retailing?
So it's the final step would be the retail stores, and that's very simple. Who owns the store? You walk into a liquor store, is it Yiddish owned or not? The question should be asked, did you sell your chametz for Pesach? Because if they didn't, then you have the same problem that whatever they owned or received over Pesach would be a problem. Now, if it's a Freya, if it's a non-religious Jewish owner who's staying open on Pesach, then we got this issue because product is coming in on Pesach,
Right.
and they're staying open for business. That would presumably call into question the validity of the
So
sale.
then it's really, then already it becomes no different than any other Chametz product.
Exactly.
Whether which is a topic that comes up every year after Pesach, where you can buy and so on and so
Exactly.
forth. So that would fall under that
Correct.
category.
But my point is that if someone wants to do Kedas Kedin, not only should he verify that if it's Jewish owned, it was sold, but it was sold properly in a way. We work with a liquor store, a liquor chain in Illinois that is Jewish owned, and we did a very, very strong mechira, not only of the products, but the company itself. He sells the company for Pesach to a high-level executive that could take over, and he doesn't come to work on Pesach. And there's no high level, and then we make a calculation after Pesach to see what the profits and losses were. So that's the way to do it properly if they're going to stay open, to make sure that this issue doesn't apply.
Wow, fascinating. Thank you, Rabbi Niehaus, for joining us.
Thank you.